Hey, I'm Max, and my favorite activity is to eat kaya toast breakfast at Toastbox. Okay, not only this, I also love to compare different cultures and look for similarities and differences. Today we're gonna compare the United States of America and Singapore. I'll show you why Americans think that Singaporeans are weird. Let's go. Hey, on the light. Thank you. Sometimes Singaporeans just skip unnecessary words, like instead of saying, "Can you please turn off the light?" they would say just, "Off the light." Very down to the point. Saves a lot of time for, I don't know, queuing. Next one. If you ever come to, let's say, New Orleans, Louisiana, and you talk to a local, you will be replied exactly the same way as they would talk to their neighbor. In Singapore, it's different. My Singaporean friends talk to me using normal English, but once I turn away, they start to talk to each other in very thick Singlish, which I'm struggling to understand. Once I had a personal training with the coach in a gym, and in between the reps he started talking to someone, and I was nearby, and after they finished I asked my coach if he talked to that guy in his native language, and he said nope, it was English, I mean Singlish. Food is a big topic in Singapore. Americans would be like, why on earth you so much talking about food? Where to eat, what to eat, where to eat cheap and good? And in Singapore, people just love to talk about food. Before going to lunch with your colleagues, you actually discuss where to go and you choose some particular place. While in the US, you just grab your lunchbox and have lunch at your desk. Boring. But Americans would be like, why do you need to go somewhere? It's just food, nothing special. After 3 years living in Singapore, I became a foodie myself. And Singapore provides so many options for different kinds of food. It's amazing here. But what is also amazing is when you smash the like button and subscribe to this channel. And it's the most amazing when you press the notification bell and switch it to all. Just do it now. In the US, you generally don't take off your shoes before entering a house. My first impression there was like, oh my god, my American friends not only enter their flat wearing sneakers, but even they would jump on a bed with their shoes on. It's so different compared to what my mom taught me when I was a kid. And still, when I visit her, it's life-threatening to cross the border of the corridor with my shoes on. But Americans are really puzzled. Why in one of the cleanest cities in the world you would need to take off your shoes in the apartment? The next one is how Singaporeans treat weddings and engagements. They do it in a very practical way, compared to more romantic attitude in the US. Based on the survey conducted in 2017, the majority of American men spent over 4 months planning their proposals, and around 40% of these men don't know for sure if the bride will say yes or no. In Singapore, it's a different story. Young couples applied for their BTO. For those who don't know, BTO is the right to buy a flat subsidized by the government. And only after that they deal with the engagement and wedding. Because without an HDB apartment, what's the point to get married, huh? Singaporeans ask direct questions like, how old are you? That might be considered rude in the US. In general, Americans are more polite when they meet new people, but it doesn't mean that you immediately become friends with them. I'm personally totally fine with the more direct and straightforward Singapore approach, as I'm from the country where it's the same. By the way, can you try to guess where I'm from in the comment below? Americans are driving everywhere, and they are shocked when they realize the number of cars in Singapore is so limited and car prices are over the top. Once we were traveling in Florida and we came to a town called Daytona Beach. It's where the famous Daytona 500 NASCAR race is happening. Of course, we rented a car for our trip, so the day when the race was happening, we drove to the stadium, and I found a car park nearby, left the car there, and we started heading towards the giant stadium. At some point, we realized that we spent already like 40 minutes walking to our part of the stadium, but the most frustrating thing was that we could just drove into the stadium. as it had roads inside of it. So never, never walk anywhere in the States. Drive only. In Singapore, public transport is great, taxis are cheap, no traffic at all, and if you guys complaining about the traffic on Orchard Road in the rush hour, please go to Moscow, London or New York City and you will see the difference. So basically, if you live in Singapore, you don't really need a car. In the US, kids leave their homes pretty early, especially for a college or university. Americans look to get out of their parents' house as soon as possible, while Singaporeans are less eager and value family responsibility more. Kids live with their parents and grandparents for as long as possible. I guess the reason is that you don't need to cook for yourself. Or the more obvious explanation. Singapore is a small island, so everything is very close, compared to the States where you can grow up in a small town and if you get into the university, you have to move to a different city and sometimes to a different state. So for Singaporean kids, just no need to move la, and no need to clean the dishes by yourself. The next one is drugs, and I'm not talking about taking it. It's pretty obvious that you don't want to do it here. But listen to this. If you are talking to your Singaporean friend and he says like, oh, I got high yesterday. Oh man, you shouldn't be saying it out loud. But it's alright. It actually means that he just got drunk yesterday. Aww. Oh, such a relief. I love my friend, I want him alive. And if you want this channel alive, press like and subscribe, and I see you in the next video. Ciao!